Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is August 29th, and right now we're looking at the mid-level water vapor loop. We got British Columbia, Washington, Oregon, Pacific Ocean, where I'm circling, and our upper level low just now starting to move off to the north and east. But we've got some ridging coming across the region here. We're going to warm up for the next few days, and that's probably going to continue across the area as we go on into the early portion of September. We'll dive into some of those details. We'll look at the extended forecast as always as we go through the video this morning. Taking a look at yesterday, you can see, severe clear across some portions of Washington, Oregon, and check out the smoke being produced by multiple fires there across the higher terrain of Idaho. You can see the hot spots on last night's infrared satellite imagery. We come back out towards this morning, and you can see that smoke spilling out into some of the valley areas. So that is where it is coming from. If you're out and across portions of Idaho, out towards Pocatello and maybe Boise, getting some of that smoke now as well. Some of this can start to move back into Oregon here also because we're getting the ridge building over the area. We got some offshore flow already in place across the region. So I selected one weather station here across West Seattle, and just to show you what these stations can do, you can see the wind speed here. You can go in and graph any of this information: UV index, temperature, barometric pressure, solar radiation, rain and rain rate, you name it, we got it. It's so much more fun to watch a storm when you got one of these attached to your place of residence. Click on that link down below to save 10% off. Now looking at thunderstorms here, this is day one and day two, nothing for the Pacific Northwest. But by Saturday, which is not yet shown on here, I'll show you day two really quickly there, and there's day three. We have the chance to start introducing some thunderstorm activity, the Oregon Cascades, then eventually on Sunday for the Washington Cascades and some portions of British Columbia. We're going to go over that here in a moment as well, so stick with me for that. Looking at Seattle, 70 yesterday, 6 degrees below average. We have dropped below average for the month for SeaTac. That has not been the story for all places in western Washington and across the region here. As you can see for Hoquiam, the overnight lows for this month have been quite warm, substantially above average, but now the observed highs have actually dropped below normal there. I'll show you more on that here in a moment. But taking a look at about 2,500 feet off the surface, you can see we've got that northeast trajectory for some of this wind moving across the region, the offshore flow ridging over the area, starting to warm us up, so we are devoid of onshore flow. So that's what's going to allow us to warm up as well. Then when we scroll all the way on in through this weekend here, and the upper level low starts to approach from the coastline. I'll show you that, and it shows up better here at 500 millibars or 18,000 feet. So that's what we're looking at now. And when you get this ridging here, you're looking at nice warm weather here, anticyclonic flow. But when you get the troughing starting to come in here, this upper level low is going to try to cool us down a bit. But you notice as it moves through, and as we go through next week, the ridging largely remains across the region. So we're going to remain warm through the first week of September, most likely. But this upper level low could bring some thunderstorm activity here, and you can see as it's moving in maybe on Saturday afternoon and evening for the Oregon Cascades, and eventually as we go on in through the weekend and into the early portion of next week before that kicks out across Montana. So taking a look at lightning flash density potential. This is last night's, actually yesterday afternoon's European run. Let me just actually update that, and we're just going to go ahead and play it out 90 hours first and see what it's showing here. So this is Saturday afternoon. You can see that thunderstorm activity start to come across the Oregon Cascades. And then as we go through Sunday afternoon, that does include Washington as well. So it's going to destabilize things a bit. Will some of these get back out towards the coastal regions or across the Willamette Valley, maybe western Washington? Still a good question. Still waiting for the high resolution models to get in range. But are not quite in range just yet, but we do have that chance as this upper level low and the system is moving across the region. Now if we take a wider view of things, we've got Alaska to the top left, and you can see Washington, Oregon, and California, same map on both sides. You got the GFS American model on the right, the European Artificial Intelligence model on the left. So let's see what they are saying. You can see the ridge in the meantime with the upper level low swinging through towards the Oregon coast. Pretty good model agreement here, but the GFS and the European have been showing some slight differences in the track, and this is about Monday morning shown there. System moves through, and then you can see the ridging continues on both models here, fairly substantial ridging, but of course the ridge starts to take on a different flavor here. This one is more out over the Pacific Ocean versus across the lower 48 and up into Canada here on the European. So we scroll off into the future, but the takeaway is that both models have some kind of ridging out through the extended forecast, and you can see things really start to diverge and change as we go through the extended. I think yesterday actually the GFS had some ridging and the European had troughing in the extended, so you can kind of see how these things change from model run to model run, and that's why we don't get too caught up in things once you look more than a week out or so. Now, this is month-to-date low temperature anomaly, and look at just how warm much of the Pacific Northwest has been with these overnight lows. Some of southern Oregon is slightly below average, but you can see Washington, Idaho, and much of Montana has been substantially above average with the temperature anomaly. And again, this is the minimum temperature. However, if I click maximum temperature, look at that big difference there. We've got a big contrast between the daily highs and the daily lows. So it's leaving us somewhere near normal across much of the region. So taking a look at the GFS, this is the raw data for Seattle. You can see the upper level low kind of crossing across the area here, cools us down a little bit, but you see relatively nice warm temperatures here as we go through the first week of September, largely above average, even the chance of some warmer days here coming up. And we'll, take that with a grain of salt right now, but we'll be watching it. This is Portland, Oregon, something similar here, but look at these temperatures as we go through today, tomorrow, Saturday, talking about some 90s across the region. Then we've got the upper level low swings through here, then we warm back up again with the ridge still hanging out across the area. And I would definitely take that extended forecast with a grain of salt as of right now. This is the European, also showing some potential getting back up towards 90 degrees for the next few days, upper level low, and then bouncing back. So pretty good model agreement there between the European and the GFS, the American model. And you'll see that reflected here in the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook all the way through September 7th. Clearly the above average signal dominates the west, and they've really cut back on the precipitation outlook as we go through the first week of September as well. We'll be watching that like a hawk. 8 to 14 day temperature outlook all the way through September 11th, again dominating the west with above average signal. And I wanted to show you here some of the fire smoke because there's definitely multiple fires out there burning, producing quite a bit of smoke. And as you can see as we move through the day and tonight, some of this starts drifting back into Oregon and moving around here, and that's not going to be pleasant for people in Boise and the valley areas in eastern Oregon. So yeah, I wish I had better news on that front here, but it doesn't, I mean, if they are fighting the fires, they're not making much headway. There's a lot of smoke being produced by this activity, and this stops right here about Saturday morning. You can see western Oregon, Washington, a lot of eastern Washington doing quite well, in British Columbia, the Idaho Panhandle, but of course across the higher terrain of Idaho, not doing too hot. And you can see the air quality index kind of being affected by those fires out there also. And this is a nice map, AirNow. You can just Google that and you can go in and check individual locations and see your air quality index. Looking at the drought monitor, we did not get as much improvement I was hoping from some of the recent rains here, and they kind of explain why. But you can see we still have some extreme drought across Washington, some severe drought across Oregon, and a bit worse across some portions of western Montana. And if you take a look, they actually do a bit of a discussion here, and they talk about the rain that fell, but it was not enough to make up for deficits that have accumulated over several months to more than a year. So no improvement to the depiction was made. And then you can see them talk about the USDA statistics about topsoil moisture. And a lot of the West has been substantially below average. Look at Washington, a measly 64% of normal. So that's not good. And that's why they're talking about that drought persisting for now. And you can also see they do other parts of Pacific Ocean, Caribbean, Midwest. You can look all over the lower 48, and they give a summary here as well. But anyway, yeah, I'm interested to see what this upper level low does. I may go out and chase some thunderstorm activity if it looks like it's going to happen as we go through this week, and I still work a couple more days, and then I have a few days off. It's pretty typical for me, but yeah, I may be out there trying to chase something with this upper level low as it moves through. These can produce some nice surprises here, and it will cool us down for a bit. But on the flip side of this upper level low moving, we've got some warm weather coming before it and after it as the region looks like it's going to stay in place. So anyway, hope you guys are liking these videos. Click like and subscribe. We'll do this all again tomorrow, and I will talk to you guys then.